About voting. It is a powerful way to send a direct message on what you want to be and how you want to be governed. But voter turnout is very low, especially right here in New York. So what's the problem and how can we fix it? Matt King takes a closer look for us.
Date of birth, nobody's business.
Babbling aloud to no one in particular, 72-year-old Mary Beeman completes an early voting registration form.
If you don't stand up for yourself, you can't expect anyone else to stand up for you.
Mary needs no convincing her vote matters. And for the last 30 years, she's volunteered at the New York City Board of Elections to ensure every one of our votes counts too.
When I was coming along, we wrote everything. Everything was physically hands-on.
New ballot machines and other technologies have automated many of Mary's old jobs, but voters still must register the way they've always done.
19 and 20-year-olds are not going to take the time to fill out a piece of paper with a ballpoint pen, sign it, and mail it in.
And Board of Elections Executive Director Mike Ryan says anachronisms like that one contribute to record lows in voter turnout.
We feel like we can't relate or we don't find identity in politics. We feel like our presence in it is unacceptable or inadequate.
19-year-old St. John's sophomore Ramya Ramana is not the pampered, self-centered, disenchanted millennial about whom older generations complain. This year's NYC Votes Youth Poet Laureate, Ramya spends her time outside of class speaking about civic engagement to high schoolers and college students who struggle to identify with the candidates or find a politician they believe might champion policies to create change on their behalf.
People have become very selfish.
From inside polling locations, Mary sees little of the apathy Ramya and Ryan work to eradicate. Mary characterizes those who do vote now as more invested than at any other time she can remember.
Voters come in mad as hell.
The children of policemen often become policemen themselves. The children of voters will become voters.
While Ryan and his team hope to improve the city's 20-ish% voter participation by simplifying the voting process, he says he needs help.
The Board of Elections left alone will not be enough information to carry the day.
Ryan wants schools to teach future voters how our government works, to foster in kids a personal investment in the political process.
You can't leave it up to another person to dictate to you how you should live.
And so, Mary fills out registration forms. The right to vote spread more quickly in this country than in perhaps any other nation in the history of the world. But even the supposed land of the free rationed out its freedom over time. Johnson only signed the Voting Rights Act 50 years ago. For 189 years before that, many worked and fought toward that achievement. And if you ask Mary Beeman, it seems a shame not to exercise the right they won us.
You younger people, you think different, and that's great, you know, but I still say that you could use the wisdom of those who have been before you. You know what I'm saying?
In Kew Gardens, I'm Matt King, Fox 5 News.
All right, it's a great subject and very timely with elections coming up next week. Familiar face, Basil Smikle. Thanks for joining us, a top political consultant. Okay, Basil, here's the lead question. What is it? How come it's become a forgotten privilege in this country? Why aren't we voting?
Well, a lot of politicians, and I include the fact that there's a business in politics, have not done a good job of connecting themselves to the voters and connecting the issues that voters care about to the actual task of voting and participating. Okay. You need to feel that sense of urgency to go out and actually pull that lever. Well, now it's
you have to excite the electorate. You know, like in the FDR days, JFK, and other elections as well.
Elections are often about movements, at least national and statewide elections. Even mayoral elections are about movements. And if a candidate can create that movement and create that sense of urgency, pride, or even anger about what's going on, then it'll cite you to vote.
That's true.
If not, it's going to be hard to make that connection.
But you hear it all the time. People say, you know what, I'm really embarrassed by these politicians. There's a lot of corruption going on. And you know what? My vote doesn't matter. It doesn't count. Why should I go out there and participate?
Interestingly enough, we actually know if you don't vote. And a lot of elected officials actually take that into consideration when they come to your neighborhood or not to talk about the things that they want to do. We may not know who you vote for, but we know if you vote. And if there are a lot of communities or neighborhoods that aren't voting and have done so historically, guess what? Chances are you may not see your elected officials there that go there to visit you to talk about what they want to do.
Basil, in this program, as you know, we like to take a problem, find some solutions. Okay, how do we get them back into the tent? What do we do? I mean, there are some problems, there are some issues, whether it be voter registration, registration or getting people to vote even on weekends. I mean, that's another important issue that they have that in Europe, but we're not doing it here. But you have some other points to make as well.
I'm a big advocate for starting young. I think they need to bring civics back into the schools and teach the importance of participation and get young people actually involved in helping others go vote. I think that's incredibly important. Something else that happens in a lot of states, but not here in New York, is early voting. So a week, 2 weeks before actual election day, you can cast your vote.
That's great.
Not just an absentee ballot, but actually go to the polls like you would on election day, and it gives people greater opportunity to go out there and do it. And also perhaps do it on the weekend, Saturdays and Sundays, whereas here it's a Tuesday. Make it more convenient because a lot of people are still working even though it's election day.
Okay. Bottom line, with all those good ideas, still the best system in the world, right?
Best absolute best system in the world. And look, here in New York, it's actually easier for you to vote than in most other states. You just go, say who you are, and pull that lever.
I know they're talking about a light voter turnout, but perhaps it might change a little bit. Who knows?
We hope so. Off election years in these midterms, it's really difficult to tell. But our job is to get everybody to go out there and do it.
Yeah, we'll be watching, and we'll also be having you back too, Basil.
I appreciate it. Thank
Basil
you.
Smikle, thanks for joining us.
Good to be here.